Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. My name is Oluyemi Adeosun, and tonight we'll be looking at the topic, creating a psychologically safe workplace, building trust, innovation, and high performance. Our facilitator for tonight is Ujunwa Somto Chukwu, and I will read our profile very briefly. Ujunwa is a strategic HR business entrepreneur and transformational leader with 15 years of progressive experience across diverse industries, including manufacturing, information technology, digital payments, oil and gas, real estate, transportation, and mining. She is known for her grit, grace, and groundedness. Ujunwa has spent her career aligning people, culture, and systems to help organizations grow, not just in profit, but in purpose. Our expertise lies in organizational design and restructuring, digital HR transformation performance, also optimization and change management, all rooted in a deep commitment to integrity and impact. Currently, she serves as the country HR business partner for administration at Dish Devlet, Nigeria. She'll probably pronounce that name. I suspect it's German or something. And they have reduced, and she has led key regional transformations that have reduced cost, elevated engagement, and built leadership capacity across borders. Our work has helped unlock millions in savings, boost workforce performance, and prepare organizations for the future of work. She holds a degree from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, so she's a lioness. She has a BSc in economics. They have something in common again there. And also from the University of Derby, UK, she has a master's in human resource management with executive certifications from Harvard Business School, Takedia Institute, and the University of Maryland. Professionally, she holds certifications and membership with Charter Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and Human Resource Certification Institute of the United States of America. She is also a member of the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development, IBA, and the Charter Institute of Personnel Development, UK. Yet again, we are privileged to feature and to speak to us on the topic, creating a psychological safe workplace. Uju Somto, you have the floor, my sister.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. And I welcome you all to this session, Creating a Psychological Safe Workplace. I'm Ujunwa Somto Chukwu, and I'm delighted to be speaking with you today on this topic as part of the HR Mentorship webinar series. Before I dive in, I want to acknowledge that creating a psychologically safe place is both a science and an art. It requires intention, consistency, and genuine commitment to valuing every voice in our organization. And I would want to use this moment to actually specify or mention that this is a topic very dear to me, which is why I am taking it. Today, we will explore practical strategies that you can implement immediately to build this foundation of trust and openness. In other words, trust and openness is the foundation of a psychologically safe workplace. Whether as an HR professional, as a team lead, as a business executive, the concepts we will discuss today will have the power to transform your workplace culture and unlock levels of innovation, engagement, and performance. Let's start by looking at what we are going to cover today. By the end of today's session, we will be able to define psychological safety in clear terms and explain why it matters in today's workplace. Identify the tangible business benefits that comes from creating psychological safe environment. Apply practical strategies tailored for both leaders and HR professionals and overcome the barrier that prevents psychological safety from taking root. So finally, we'll explore practical tools that you can use immediately and end it with a clear call to action, like the way I love to do it. I have designed this session not to be interactive, right? And so I'm going to take my time to put us through the slides. Along the line, there will be reflections, questions that warrant you to reflect. Feel free to write down the questions if you have any, or ideas or comments we can discuss towards the end of the session. But let's begin with a thought-provoking question. Remember, it's a reflection. All you have to do is have a rethink and write down whatever you have in mind, be it questions, be it comments. All right. Take a moment to reflect on this question. When was the last time someone in your team spoke up about a mistake or challenged your decision without fear or backlash? Okay. This question gets the heart of psychological safety for me. In many organizations, the honest answer might be rarely or even never. Some of you might be thinking of specific instances where someone didn't speak up, or maybe they have noticed unusual or refreshing that felt, oh, if I speak up, I would be humiliated or embarrassed. Or the last time I spoke or my opinion never mattered. Others might be recalling times when someone should have spoken up to avoid risk or any potential risk or missed an opportunity, but they didn't. So psychological safety isn't just a nice to have, it's a critical foundation for healthy organization and performance. So what exactly do we mean by psychological safety? According to Harvard business professor Amit Edmond, it's a shared belief that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. It is an environment where people feel comfortable being themselves, speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes without fear of punishment or embarrassment. This particular concept gained wide popularity during the Google project of Aristotle, where they found out when studying hundreds of teams to determine that what made some excel, while others struggled. Surprisingly, psychological safety emerged as number one. But one thing that was surprising about that research is that they never thought this would come up. As a matter of fact, it wasn't in their dictionary or in their thoughts that this particular incident would come or this particular topic would come up. It's that research that gave the name to this psychological safety. What particularly is important, what is impressive about this research is that when they were busy thinking that technical issues or technical expertise, team compositions would be the key differentiators. No, instead they found out that team members interaction makes them feel safe and gives them the ability to take risk, which is the critical factor. But why should we as an organization, care about psychological safety. The next slide talks about why psychological safety matters to our organizations. The benefit of psychological safety goes beyond just making people feel good. It translates directly to our business and outcome that executives and shareholders care about. First is employee benefit and retention. The recent Gallup research shows that teams with high psychological safety have 3 times higher engagement level and 50% less turnover. In today's competitive talent market, this alone makes a compelling business case because you want an organization where retention is high and employee well-being, employee feels they are well taken care of. The second point is innovation and problem solving. When people feel safe to share unusual ideas without fear or ridicule, if innovation flourish, and that reminds me of this study about Post-it project by at Ferry at 3M, who initially faced skepticism when he was proposing the Post-it notes concept, because 3 million had cultivated an environment where people pursue unusual ideas. However, Fry, like they call him, the innovator of Post-it, continued, and the result was the company that particular Post-it project became the most successful product the company had ever had. And then the third one is performance and accountability. Contrary to what people might fear, psychological safety doesn't mean lowering standards or avoiding tough decisions. No, it's not. In fact, it enables high performance because people identify problems and address it themselves. When team members feel safe to say, I made a mistake, I am sorry, I'm struggling with this, issues get escalated before this issue gets resolved before they escalate. And then the last but not the least is risk management. Many organizations would have prevented risk if only someone within the team felt safe to talk about it. When an organization lacks psychological safety, people are blinded and people are scared to say something, and along the line, something bad would happen, something we would have prevented would happen. This report I have here is a slide that visualizes the difference between organizations that has a psychologically safe place. And the impact it has on the organization. And I got this insight from Gallup Workplace Study 2003. So the next slide, we will look at what are the benefits of a psychologically safe workplace. The difference between a psychologically safe and unsafe environment are stark and observable in everyday workplace interaction. In unsafe environments, ideas are held back. People fear dismissal or being ridiculed. You would hear phrases like, this is how we do things here. We have tried it before. and it didn't work out. We will get to have compliance issues up and there, are all around, yet it's not reported because people are feared being labeled troublemakers or feared retaliation. During meetings in those places, it's only few voices that speak, either the most senior or the most confident, while others remain silent when they have valuable insights. Mistakes are hidden or blamed on others because admitting error is seen as weakness or incompetence. However, in a safe environment, leaders openly admit uncertainties through their statements like, I don't have all the answers. I need your input on this. What do you think, or what do you have to say on this? We would hear questions like, what can we learn from this, rather than who is to be blamed? Challenges are shared without fear of reprisal. People feel comfortable saying, I am struggling with this. I disagree with this approach. Diverse perspectives are actively encouraged. Diverse perspectives are actively encouraged, with leaders asking, what are we missing here? Who has something to share? People think of the workplace as their own. And most organizations fall somewhere in between safe and unsafe environments, because most of the time some works for them and others doesn't work. Understanding psychologically safety isn't a binary statement, but rather a progression, which will lead us to the next slide on the 4 stages of psychological safety by Dr. Timmy Clark framework. The first one is inclusive safety. This is the level where people feel they are included. It starts from the onboarding, the way we welcome people in our team, the way we allow them to speak, the way we ask for their opinion, the feeling that we give to a colleague or our team lead to let them know that this is a safe place for you to share thoughts. And the second level is learners' safety. Teams can now ask questions and make mistakes. And not because the mistakes are intentional, but because the environment is safe enough for them to try new things and let themselves or the team leader know that they've made a mistake. The third level is contributors' safety. This level, people feel empowered to contribute their ideas. During meetings, you hear, I have something to share. I think we should do it this way. I had this experience. This worked for us. And I think this would work for us because of this or that. So people feel free to contribute because they know their ideas really matters. Here, people feel empowered to actively contribute their ideas and solutions. They believe their input matters and will be taken seriously. Leaders foster contribution safety by explicitly, as in inviting people to speak and air their views. And then the last one, which I think is the highest, is where team challenge status quo. Now, as an employee, you begin to ask questions why this is the way it is. Is there need for us to change it or not? Does this policy works for us? Are we still in the right? Are we still doing it right? So these are the 4 levels of this psychological safety. Now that we've understand the framework, let's explore specific strategies leaders can use to build psychologically safe environment. And here is where we have to tell stories. All right. Strategies for leaders. Model vulnerability. Admit your own mistakes and uncertainties. Yes, I did this wrong. This is what we have to learn. And I need to mention something here. That a leader is being vulnerable doesn't mean the leader is weak. Rather, you are showing your team how to accept their mistakes and be open to try new things. Because they can see from you, you are human and you're open to learn. And then the second strategy is asking powerful questions. What obstacles we might be missing is one of the questions. And I do see some questionnaire where people are trying, where consultants or HR people are trying to get insights of how things can be done. And in the questionnaire, they limit the survey, they limit some questions that makes people feel unsafe when they answer it, because by them answering it, the response will be traced back to them. So it's important that we bear in mind, we don't just ask questions that will throw people under the box, but we have to try ask questions that makes people think you're open to say your mind. Questions like, how do you think we should improve this? Or not questions that say, do you think we are good at this? If not, explain. You have questionnaires where give scenarios where this has not worked. For an employee to answer that particular question, the response will actually trace the person answering it, and anonymity is part of strategies where people, strategies of creating a safety and a psychologically safe workplace. So we should avoid questions that people can answer and it will directly link to them. This next one is reward for speaking up. When a colleague speaks up, we don't, sorry, please. Okay, when a colleague speaks up, the person doesn't need to be victimized. When someone raises a concern or points out a problem or challenge as an assumption, we should publicly appreciate the person. I mean sincere appreciation. We say, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I appreciate you raising these issues. From sincerely speaking, and not a scenario where we thank you for, we'll address it later, and then the addressing it later is trying to victimize the person. The last but not the least, sorry, apologies. The last but not the least is avoiding blame. When things go wrong, as leaders and HR professionals, we should focus on how to remedy it instead of finding faults. We should ask questions like, what have we learned? Or how do we think we can make this better? And not who is at fault. Somebody must have to pay for this. We hear leaders use that term. Someone would have to pay for this. This shifts the conversation from personal failure to systematic learning. Now we are all learning from this particular failure without punishing someone for trying to do something right, which failed, because if it had gone right, we would have all benefited from it. All right, why leaders play crucial roles, we as HR professionals have unique opportunities to systematically build psychological safety across organizations, our different organizations. So let's explore those strategies. Imbibe. The first one is imbibe in policies and culture. Aside the fact we say add safe environments to evaluation, when we are building our policies, especially for what do we call it, disciplinary measures, what are we punishing people for? What are we rewarding people for? Is our policies, our disciplinary policy structured in a way that people fear to try new things? For instance, one of the organizations where I worked has integrity as their values. And so during my heart session with employees, their line managers and managers are excluded. It's just me. I do have that session once in 6 months, excluding those surveys or questions and their line manager session. Me, I have it with all employees 2 times in a year. One thing an engineer complained was because it's a multinational and some policies we use are a global policy. It has in the policy, it says for every travel you have to retire. You have to expense with receipt, especially for road transport, all those things. You have to provide a receipt. So one engineer, oh, madam, I need to tell you something. I'm no longer comfortable with this. I have to keep looking for receipt just to retire my transport when I know that it forces me against my value to get receipts for me to retire. There were 2 of them that mentioned it, and they said they don't like it because most of the times they have to fake the receipt. And I had to take it to the next level and ask for an exception. Not because the engineer mentioned it, but I linked it to our values that says integrity. Because by we including receipts, because we know some of those locations they travel to customer sites don't have all those the likes of Uber or Bolt in it, so they have to force themselves to find fake receipts. So you see them piling receipts, fake ones, designing for themselves just to retire their transport and get their money back, which is against their integrities and our value. So no, please help me close the door. So I had to ask for an exemption after making inquiries and a research to get the appropriate figures for those locations, to peg it at anything less than a certain amount of money. You do not need receipt to retire. And I got the approval because I backed it up with integrity, which is one of our company's core values. The second point is creating safe channels. Like I mentioned earlier, anonymous reporting mechanisms. We see organizations when they are doing survey, they put questions that can actually trace it back to the response, to the people that responded to it. And then you see line managers asking for the reports from the in one certain time after the survey and everything, I was sharing the reports and doing some recommendation to line managers. I see line managers asking me for the detailed report. I said, sorry, it's anonymous. I don't have insight to it because I never included departments. Neither did I include, because this particular one had to address the whole company. So me including departments and the kind of questions would trace it back to the particular department, and then the line manager, we have to. That was when we were trying to transform and restructure the system to feel safe for us. So when we say anonymous, aside the details of name, phone number, staff ID, department, we should go into those questions you're asking and make sure that those questions cannot, when responded, cannot be traced back to the people that responded it. The next one is we train our managers. Of course, they are humans. Many managers unintentionally shut down psychological safety through their reactions to questions. We need to equip them with coaching and active skills, and that is coaching. Coaching is the best thing that we as HR professionals recommend to our line managers. I have done it in the past and it worked like magic, because this particular line manager has lots up to 70% of the employees under him, and he has every reason to behave the way he's behaving because of the level of people he's managing. So he has these ideas that if you leave these people, they will ride you. You just need to tell them what they will do and let them go. Just if they don't want it, they can go. I said, okay, because I know this one asked me, he's older than me, and there is no amount of, because he has his experience and reasons why he's behaving that way. I had to bring in a coach to help me with this line manager. And trust me, it has changed and he has improved. And along the line, I would share a story to let you know how this line manager has changed. The last but not the least is we track our performance, our progress. When we use engagement surveys and pulse check, stay interview, exit interview, we want to ensure trust and safety levels across organization. Those questions we include that gets people to respond, we need to be committed to addressing them. Like I mentioned earlier, when I do my survey, I pull it out, share with line managers, and the ones that fall under HR, I go back to my team and say, I hear you this. This is what we are doing. This is what we have done. Or the last one I had, I was like, okay, based on the last pulse check survey we did on discrimination, what are your feedbacks? Have we improved? Across board, I got yes, but we need to do more. Of course, there is always room for improvement, and that is tracking progress. The next question is, let me have your ideas on what more we can do. So when we say we are doing survey, we don't do it for doing its sake. We need to track our progress, because that is when employees feel actually that their opinion or their thoughts or their ideas matters. Because along we have in a very hierarchical organization, it's those surveys that you get them to speak. And when they see that one of their ideas are coming through, it's a way for them to feel safe. All right. Building psychological safety isn't always straightforward. Let's address some barriers and how we can overcome them in the next slide. And these are practical implementation tools. The first one is red flag, green flag sessions. These are structured team meetings where everybody shares what's working well and what's not working well. The purpose of this is to create formats where people can raise concerns without direct attribution if they choose to. They gradually build comfort with picking up problems. The second one is pulse survey. Short, anonymous quarterly pulse survey on trust, respect, and very important, discrimination and voices. Discrimination can come in form, especially in Nigeria, discrimination can come in form of tribes, it can come in form of ethnicity, yeah, it can come in form of gender, and it can come in form of grade and levels. So I would rather add discrimination here because I have had to experience it. So the third one is learning log. After completing projects and initiatives, team should document what went wrong, what didn't go well, what do we need to learn from it, how would we have done it better. Such meetings and learning logs helps us think not as individuals, but as a team, knowing that the mistakes we make is as a team, and people will feel free to share their thoughts on how things can get better. Like I promised, this was one of the strategies the head of operations started. And one of the things that happened was the machine that was supposed to be imported was actually imported, but some parts were missing. And during their meetings, learning logs, one engineer, the least expected engineer, had to share an idea that saved time and eliminated the risk of or the risk we would have faced with our customer. He proposed that he can find old spare parts from the old machine and use it for the new one, and then add the new one when it comes in to the engineers, to the customer as a bonus. And it worked perfectly. It eliminated risk, because this is what happened without looking for who to blame. Why did this happen? They just found a way to fix it. And the idea came from top up, not up down. Because we are all hired because of our skills and expertise. So if only we have a psychological safe work environment, people can share their thoughts based on the reasons why you hire them, not keep quiet because we are all managers or team lead. The last one is leadership 360 feedback. I'm smiling because the very first time I tried this, it led me to the coaching mechanism. It was the reason why I actually brought in coaches. But over time, it has improved. And I would have to encourage every one of us here to ask people to do it on us, whether an organization runs this or not. And if you're an HR person, please do this for your team, because it shows, but do it with safety. When you have a team that is less than 5, you may have to eliminate such team and ask the line manager to do it himself to get people to sit, because when the team is less than 5, line managers that are vindicative, right, can actually pinpoint who did that. However, with training your line managers beforehand, we can eliminate this. So I urge us to do 360 reports, because it gives us review feedback on who we actually think, who actually are, and not who we think we are. All right, let's consider the border implication on the next slide. All right, this is my nature. I like to give call to action, because a workplace without psychological safety is like a team of singers with tapes over their mouth, talent wasted, and voice silenced. Yes, I said so, because when we hire people to do their job, we trust them that they will deliver. And trust me, nobody knows it all. It's all those tiny ideas that backs the reason why you employ them. And when they are bringing in their ideas, that makes the team a great place, and ideas, innovation, performance skyrockets. Think about an image for a moment. You might have the most talented people in your organization, but if they don't feel safe to speak up, share ideas, and admit mistakes or challenge the status quo, that talent is effectively silenced. The beautiful harmony that could emerge from diverse perspective working together never materializes. But when we create a safe, a psychologically safe place to work, people don't just work. They dare to take risk. They innovate beyond what is expected, and they truly thrive and not survive. This is where breakthrough performance happens. And so I challenge you as a leader to commit to building culture that where courage is rewarded, not punished. This means examining your own reaction to feedback, mistakes, or challenge, and questions. It means creating space where people feel valued for speaking up and not just for agreeing. Yes, ma. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. We get to it right away. And then as an HR professional, let's imbibe psychological safety in the DNA of the people practice. Let it be seen on our policies. It isn't a one-time initiative or a box to check. It is a fundamental shift in how we approach everything from performance management to team development and to leadership training. Because psychological safety is not just about protecting voices, it's about unlocking the organization's future. In a world increasing complexity, right, and rapid change, the organization that we thrive are those ones that where our voice are heard and we can contribute to innovations, problem solving, and growth. So here is me saying, in our policies, in our initiatives, let's make sure people are free to speak up and contribute so their organization can get better. Thank you for your attention today. All right. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, you have any reflection, any thoughts that have come across your mind, please feel free to share or ask questions. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you so much. That is the window to make your ideas. And if you also like to ask questions around the subject matter or want to provide one or two additional perspectives, the floor is open. Just do well to raise your hands and we can recognize you. I can see a lot of people celebrating and appreciating your thoughts and insights in the chat box.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have, yes. Barrister Chinwe, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yemi, and thank you so much, Uju, for this wonderful session. Great learning, great knowledge you've shared today. I just wanted to, lend my voice to, one of the things that she mentioned, which is something that we have to uphold, as HR people, just lending my voice or joining my voice to what she had said. You see that anonymous engagement survey that she mentioned, very, very important, right? We've seen in the past where people fail to complete engagement survey anymore because they had in the past maybe something that you told them that is anonymous, somebody now traced it back to them. And then you're wondering how that happened. Oh, sorry, they are wondering how that happened. And then next time when you now want them to, contribute or fill survey forms, they don't want to fill that anymore. They are saying, or somebody comes to actually tell you what you said, right? And that's not a good practice. That we as HR people should make sure that it is watertight. She mentioned what she did in her organization in terms of line managers coming to ask for details. And she has said, you can't get the details. This is anonymous. If it's anonymous, it remains anonymous. and it's to safeguard the, people that had mentioned that. Sometimes I also find, while I was still in the consulting space, I find organizations, clients, come on board to say that the only reason why they came to us as consultants to come and run engagement survey for them is because they want the employees to open up. They want them to be able to tell them what's, the things that are not going well and all of that, because they've run engagement surveys in the past and they had failed, right? And I've also had that experience where a client had called us to run an engagement survey, and we ran an engagement survey. And when you're reporting it, you keep saying maybe that 7% of the employees, they said this, and these are like you also show them like what is it called now? Like snippets of the exact words for them to feel how the employees feel, right? For the ones that are not going well. And then, I had experience where one of the clients told me that, oh, see the one that they ran internally, and that he had also done double work to go and check to know the people that actually said what they said. Like in teams where they have maybe like 2 people or 3 people or something, that he can narrow down, and he can even tell the people that they say that in the next 2 years, they will no longer be in the organization, that he knows those people. And I had to like, even now start speaking to that client, away from that. You shouldn't have done that. Like, if you do this and then you review this result, next time, do you want them to feel this engagement survey, or you want them to feel safe, to be able to speak their mind and all of that? So thank you so much, Uju, for bringing this. And it's just to give us the charge for us to continue to do well in our, respective spaces. That something like that is something that, when we are running those surveys and we are reporting them, that it should be as anonymous as we had mentioned that it should be. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Yemi. Thank you, Uju.
Thank you, Barrister. Nice hearing from you. Okay, I have 2 questions, 3, 4 questions. My first one is, what was the success rate of the 360 feedback you conducted? The success rate of the first one was, I won't lie, 72%, because people weren't speaking. However, the first one gave me insight of where the problem is. Like I mentioned, I had to bring in an external coach. And then, because people are seeing changes, the second one I ran late last year was 89 successful. So I had 89% of people responding, right? And it wasn't that harsh compared to the first one. The first one led us to, because we do it every 2 years, we allow the managers to be coached for 1 year. And if there is no improvement, we let them go. So the first one led to a manager leaving, right? And then when people have seen the results, the next one was 89% successful. Okay, how can you enhance psychological safety in public sector? All right, I haven't worked there, but my experience during my NYSC days, this safety is not what HR in public sector is not left for HR people. I would move this one to line managers. You see those deputies, those officers that report to a particular head, the safety should be limited to them, because if you're looking at making it organizational, that would be a difficult task. But if your team is small, because my team there, then Ministry of Finance headquarters, Abuja, my team, we are safe to talk. We can knock in our MD's office and say, sir, please, I want to share something with you. This is what happened. This is what happened. So, and it could be a ripple effect, because they change people and they swap team leaders, they move directors. When this director learns, he moves to another place and move it. It's a gradual process that has to be limited to team, and we hope it's going to be a ripple effect. And from our consultants that deal with public sectors, you keep preaching it, teaching the line managers when they come for training on why is it important. And that leads me to the second point: how easy it's psychological safety in one-man business and one owner manager's business. The truth remains that I am not going to defend them, but these one-man businesses in Nigeria are facing a lot. So I'd rather, as an HR person, what have I done? Because I've worked there before. I spoke to the people one-on-one. I was privileged to report to the MD and the CEO. So I asked them, what exactly do you want? And they told me what they want, and this is how we'll achieve it. I asked them to give me deadline. If you have any fears, reach out to me. I have to ask, and before 3 months, it was terrible for me. Very, very terrible for me because I can feel it. And I'm not the kind of person that keeps my pot. I don't keep it because I don't like to work in a place where I don't give my best. So I had to call for a meeting, and throughout the meeting, I was crying. And then because I was crying, they had to open up to tell me their own experiences, reasons why they behave the way they behave. And I see their points. You see why I said I'm not going to blame them. It's best if you hear from them and reasons why they behave the way they behave, and then you can find a solution to it. I'm not bragging, but throughout my stay there, it was calmer. From the 3 months, it was calmer because I get to understand from their own angle and proffer solution from their own experience. Are there exceptions? Yes. But I think that for us to create this safety in a one-man business, if you have the opportunity to work with the person, hear from the person, whatever behavior the person portrays, don't take it personal and hear the reasons behind such behavior. Let me tell you a story. I have been in a scenario where an employee requested for 7 million for a cancer treatment. And in my nature, because I made a policy in HMO, I initiated the policy of HMO. I reduced it to the level of gold because previous reports says that we have not had such issues in the past. So we paying money for extra gold and high level be a waste of money. But there is a clause on the policy that says we will sponsor. So this particular employee asked for 7 million. Like always, I went ahead to process. But during the processing and figures, before in the organization, this was not done. And the line manager that stopped it would always say, these people will frame their reports of their father that has died before and get something just to get something from the organization. Of course, we have different people, different level of understanding and people in our organization. So, but I was careful, trust me, as I was doing the investigation, trying to I've gotten the approval. I have gotten the approval to release this fund. But just to press the button, I said, okay, let me make research in the doctor's name and every other thing that surrounds this deal. Do you know, I found out that the person that was claimed to be a doctor that is handling this particular incident is not a doctor. It's just a business partner. What did I do? I say, okay, from where your location you are, come to Lagos, let's treat you. And I received approval from HQ for us to proceed. The hospital itself is on suspension, is on strike. And he said that the payment should be made to this particular person who is an admin doctor in the place. The person is not a doctor. Imagine me, innocent me. So, and I said, okay, come to Lagos because the place you are is not safe for us we can't risk you having worked for us for 8 years. Come to Lagos. Trust me, this guy resigned. This guy resigned. I called, he was like, Madam, leave me. I said, I no want to do again. I said, I no want work again. I now had to use indirectly to find out that he thought we found out. Of course, we have found out. But when management were like, what is the problem? Why did he stop? And me, I hope this video doesn't go out. And me, I can't go to management and say, see what I found out. I just told him, sir, you know, Nigerians, we believe in spiritual healing. So they opted for his spiritual healing. Why can't I go back to say, this is what happened? Because the line manager warned me. You see the reasons behind why he doesn't approve. So for anything that happens in an organization for one-man business, I would always like to know what must have happened that changed this person. Because for a business owner to bring in an employee to work for you, which means you as an employee, he trusts your capacity to deliver. But if something changed, if he behaves otherwise, there is something must have triggered it. So I try to find out and encourage and do my best. So I hope I answered your question. The next one is, how do we convince or win over employees who have been traumatized in places of work that they are safe to share in this space? I only did that by having a session with all the employees, excluding their line managers. And during the meetings, I use WhatsApp that is limited, where you don't need to share your profile or share your video. Just say anything. And they are scattered all over the country, so I don't get to know you. Just tell me your pain or whatever it is that you think we can do better. And then I have this habit of, before we start a meeting, I'll say so I won't feel bad, and you will not feel bad that I have responded to you. Because when you manage engineers, drivers, cleaners, there are certain way they talk and they think they are right. And if you're not careful, you will feel humiliated or you will feel insulted. So I say, okay, before you speak, do this way, so you won't make me feel bad, even if you're saying something bad to me. Just say, Ma, we thank you for this. However, we noticed this. So this is the framework. Before you speak, you say, okay, you've done this, appreciate me, so I'll feel happy. I did it as a joke, just to get them lively. So you have to appreciate me first and boost my ego, and then tell me all the rubbish. So whatever it is that you're telling me, I'll not feel bad. So that is the strategy I use for them. And it has worked for me because, yeah. So any other question? Okay.
There's a question for Barrister Chinwe, if she doesn't mind being put on the spot. I won't read the question out. Barrister, read it in case you want to answer it.
She
If
said,
you don't, you can ignore. Okay. You can look away. Don't read it out. She needs to decide whether she wants to answer it or don't read it out.
Yes, Dr. Yemi, I've seen the question.
Okay, good. I'll see your feedback too. All right.
I've not followed the story. I've not followed the story. You know, I saw it in different groups now, but I've not really sat down to read, the story. But I can see that there has to be there are things around union and maybe something standing around maybe wrongful termination. But I've not read the whole. Like I've seen publications, but I just need to put those things together to read. I haven't really read the entire story. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Any other question, comments? Okay. I'm happy for us to close this session now so that we can rest and prepare for tomorrow. However, ladies and gentlemen, you know what we do at the twilight of any exciting session like this. We unmute and appreciate our speaker so that we can show them some energy, some love. Let's show Uju some love. Let her know that our family, we are worldwide.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Uju. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Good night, everyone. Cheers.
Good night.
Bye. Night. Good night.
Yes.